With President Trump taking office, so many questions are out there about international policy, domestic policy, economic policy. One of the things that's been overlooked, but me being the geek that I am, what about NASA? Elon is so close to President Trump. What's the future of NASA? This is the agency that brought us to the moon. What's their future hold in a second Trump administration where Elon Musk and SpaceX are front and center? Well, hit like and subscribe and we'll kind of get into it a little bit here. This is the article I found. Get those rocket ships going. Where will Trump's space odyssey lead NASA? The article kind of goes through the future of NASA and what's going on right now. And it discusses that currently President Trump will relish the prospect of being in the White House when the U.S. flag is again planted on the lunar surface, now scheduled for mid-2027. And in April next year, when Artemis II makes a planned crewed flypast of the moon. I love it. I'm all for it. Elon is definitely going in the same direction. He's going in the same direction a lot cheaper and a lot more efficiently. That said, it may be difficult to make a change immediately, but I see a change as definitely on the horizon. If you do a radical change now, you may actually push back the landing of the moon timeline. You're going back to square one. Most of the hardware for the SLS or Artemis 2 and 3 is built, so it makes more sense to run through those if you want to change them. I agree. If we've already spent the money and the hardware is ready to go, let's do it. Let's get to the moon. No reason not to. And it goes through and talks about the administration's view and the transition to Jared Isaacman's vision when he goes up to Capitol Hill for confirmation. That's President Trump's pick for the head of NASA. Jared Isaacman. He's a billionaire investor. I think that big changes are coming for NASA. Big changes. One, first and foremost, a move. At the very tail end of this article, right here. Not everybody is waiting to see how Trump-Musk agenda for space plays out. Last week, Republican Florida Governor Ron DeSantis made a bold pitch for the new president to move NASA headquarters at the Kennedy Space Center at Cape Canaveral. They have this massive building in Washington, D.C., and nobody goes to it. So why not just shutter it and move everyone down here, DeSantis said at a press conference to announce a partnership between a consortium of space research Florida universities and Kennedy Space Center officials, reported by the Sun Sentinel. Now, the Starship facilities are in Texas, on the Texas coast. That's for Starship. And the SpaceX, a lot of SpaceX manufacturing is in Texas. But a lot of it is also in Florida. This is also where Bezos launches his penis rockets into space, is from the Kennedy Space Center. Blue Origin or Blue Horizon, Blue Balls, whatever. This goes, I linked to an article here about the actual story. They have this massive building in Washington, D.C., and like nobody goes to it. They just shutter it and move down here. I think they're planning on spending like $500 million to build a new building up in D.C., and no one will ever go to it either. So hopefully the new administration coming in, they'll see a great opportunity to just headquarter NASA here on the Space Coast in Florida. I think that'd be very fitting, he said. I agree. And this goes into the DeSantis spoke of his support for NASA's move during a remarks spotlighting the launch of Florida University Space Research Consortium, a partnership between Kennedy Space Center, the University of Florida, University of Central Florida, and Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. I'm going to link, obviously. I'll have links to all of these articles in there. First and foremost, a move out of Washington is a great move. Get them out of Washington. You can't have people who are supposed, we're going to get into this later though, who are supposed to be forward-thinking individuals on the cutting edge of exploration and science in the swamp. It just doesn't work. I am all for moving them down to the Space Coast. But what role does NASA even have in a world where SpaceX, Blue Horizon, and any number of different launchers exist? I think NASA still does have a role. I really do. I've thought about this a lot because there's certain things that NASA is going to do that you're just not going to get from other space entities who are profit driven, which is a good thing. You know I'm all about profit. Like this. Quesst is NASA's mission to demonstrate how the X-59 can fly supersonic without generating loud sonic booms and then survey what people hear when it flies overhead. Reaction to the quieter sonic thumps will be shared with regulators who will then consider writing new sound-based rules to lift the ban on faster-than-sound land travel. How nice would it be to be able to get on a plane in New York City and fly supersonic to the West Coast, cutting your time in half or more? Because not everybody's going to be able to afford SpaceX's transportation that makes it 25 minutes from New York to Los Angeles, which is in the future. Saw a tweet about this. Absolutely amazing. The future is now. Governments do this kind of research. Governments do this kind of research as well. SpaceX isn't launching satellites or probes to simply image outer space. That's not profitable to just put a telescope in space so you can scan the cosmos at your will. There's no profit in launching a repair mission to the Hubble Space Telescope. To risk that much profit for something that much investment for something that literally has no return on investment, other than we learn about things far outside the realm that we would be able to utilize. And as a business, looking through a telescope might as well be pie in the sky dreaming. There's no point in doing it. But there is, on a scientific and human level, which is where something like a NASA would come into play. And I'm going to give an example of this here in a little while. This was a brilliant you can see, I don't need to tell you what the hell this is. This is the Andromeda galaxy mosaic. It's stunning. It's stunning. And this, of course, this will be linked. I'm going to show you now another picture. This, I think, is even more stunning. This is amazing. This panoramic view of galaxy cluster MACS 0416 was created by combining infrared observations from NASA's James Webb Space Telescope with visible light data from NASA's Hubble Space Telescope. I just want to go through that again, through those credits, because you're not going to get Blue Horizon or Blue Origin or Blue Balls to do this. You're not going to get SpaceX to do this. You're not going to get a private company to do this. This is still the realm where you would have a NASA. This panoramic view of galaxy cluster MACS 0416 was created by combining infrared observations from NASA's James Webb Space Telescope with visible light data from NASA's Hubble Space Telescope. There is a role for NASA. There very much is. The rovers on Mars also prove that. So there is a role. And I heard this one time on the Joe Rogan podcast And I think this perfectly explains where NASA is now and where NASA will go in the future.
Private enterprise at doing expensive things that have never been done before.
Right. Need government money.
Government does it first, okay?
Right.
Then you learn where the hostiles are, where the friendlies are, what patent did you need to make this happen. Then the venture capitalist meeting about whether I'm going to make a buck on it has some teeth in it. They say, how much will this cost? Well, we know because the government did it, and we think we can do it for half that price. Is it dangerous? Yes, the government did this, and they lost 2 people, but we will put protections in so we won't have that risk. What is the return on the investment? The government got no return because that wasn't the objective, but here's how we can. So I'll do it second, I won't do it first. This is how you get the Dutch East India Trading Company.
This is how you get the Dutch East India Trading Company. This is also how you go from NASA to SpaceX. The natural evolution from NASA to SpaceX. It seems perfectly natural to me. And when you hear Dr. Tyson, who is as woke can be, and is not a fan of Elon Musk, say it himself, he very much ends up being an advocate for it. We're going to play it one more time because I think it's that important.
Private enterprise at doing expensive things that have never been done before.
Right. Need government money.
Government does it first, okay?
Right.
Then you learn where the hostiles are, where the friendlies are, what patent did you need to make this happen. Then the venture capitalist meeting about whether I'm going to make a buck on it has some teeth in it. They say, how much will this cost? Well, we know because the government did it, and we think we can do it for half that price. Is it dangerous? Yes, the government did this, and they lost 2 people, but we will put protections in so we won't have that risk. What is the return on the investment? The government got no return because that wasn't the objective, but here's how we can. So I'll do it second, I won't do it first. This is how you get the Dutch East India Trading Company.
And he has a very famous tweet that he just put out recently that's, what has Elon done that NASA hasn't? Dr. Tyson, you yourself point out nothing. He hasn't done anything that NASA hasn't done. However, he as a venture capitalist has come in and found the way to make profit on it and to reduce the risk on it and to then therefore move forward, such as the Dutch East India Trading Company. I have a lot of respect for Neil Tyson. I really do. He's a brilliant astrophysicist. If you want to know about space or something like this, he is definitely the man to come to. You want to find out about the moon landings? And yes, we did land on the moon, and we're going to do it again. But yeah, we did. He's the man to come to. You want to know about politics? Move on from him. But what's the role of NASA? I think that they will become more of a exploratory, more of a scientific based, and I also see them almost as a regulatory base, as where the FAA controls airspace around the United States and North America. NASA would probably fill that role too, have regulations, training regimens. You're an astronaut, you're going into space on this kind of mission. If you're a tourist, that's fine, but if you're going on this kind of mission, we require you to have X amount of training. That training will take place at the NASA training facility in Houston, Texas. We will utilize SpaceX rockets. It'll be, and I know that Glenn Beck would just cringe if he heard me say this. This would be a private-public partnership. My skin crawled saying it too, Glenn, don't worry. But one for the betterment of mankind. Yes, making money. Profit is a good thing. But utilizing the talents of each to better both. So what's the role for NASA under Donald Trump? Yet to be seen. Yet to be seen. But I don't think NASA's done. But I do think the evolution time has come, where we go from NASA to SpaceX. Just as we went from Christopher Columbus and the explorers of great, Magellan, to it becoming a business. The East India Trading Company. No longer was Magellan commissioned by the Crown. No longer was Columbus commissioned by the Crown for a specific exploratory mission. Now it's a business, and we're going to make money. But in doing so, we're going to expand the bounds of humanity. And that's where I think we're going to be. I think it could be really great. I really do. I appreciate you swinging in and listening. I appreciate you, and I thank you.